Hey guys, welcome back to more AFK Arena. In today's video, I wanted to do a bit of a fun video and talk about my top 10 abilities in the game. Now, take it with a grain of salt. I could have missed some. It's not the best heroes, it's the best abilities, where if you just looked at that one ability and go, wow, that's going to be an overpowered hero, and then obviously they need the rest of their kit to be decent for it to apply. Now, this was a bit of a funny one, so I made an exception. Any other abilities that directly impact or use said ability, I will leave as impactful. For instance, Damon's Blood Shield. The Blood Shield is the ability, but obviously his ultimate uses the Blood Shield on multiple. So in that case, we do actually incorporate both abilities. Some other heroes, you know, maybe their signature item impacts how an ability works, and we include those type of things. But once again, just take it with a grain of salt. But I would love to see what you guys have to say for your top abilities. Some of these are just straight one ability. You just read that ability and go, damn, that's OP. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so let's kick it off. Ordering these abilities was a little bit of a pain, so take it all with a grain of salt. I just want to have a bit of fun, because some abilities, you read them and you're like, damn, that's a good ability. So number 10 for me, we're going to be going to Ezio, and it's going to be his ultimate. When you just get a straight execution threshold on an enemy when you use your ultimate of just, if they're below that HP, they get shredded and instantly die. It's just a really strong ability. Now, Ezio isn't like a top tier unit. The rest of it, like if that ability was on another hero with different skills, even though Ezio's kit is pretty strong and he's pretty decent in himself, it's just this ability when you read it. And I remember when I first read it, I'm like, what? So like literally, and he can increase that threshold up to 1600% of his attack, and he just instantly kills things. It's an amazing ability. It does drop off a bit in the end game, but like I just think it's absolutely fantastic. And the idea of the whole enemy team, you know, in some stages in the sort of mid game, you can be executing them from 70% of their health if he uses this a few times. It's ridiculous. So for that, Ezio gets number 10 on the list. Number 9 on the list is going to be Damon, and we're referring to, like I mentioned earlier, that Blood Shield. Now, the reason he's so low on the list is because it is so many abilities, so we're taking into account a lot of abilities that look at this. Obviously, we have the signature item, which is going to make him steal stats. We're going to have the ultimate, which is making him use Blood Shield on more enemies. But the fact that, and like I said, because we're taking into account, like, you know, 3 of his abilities as opposed to everyone else, we're just looking at like one with a little upgrade or something like that. That's why he's lower, but you guys know Damon. It's amazing. Blood Shield, being able to steal health from the enemies based on their max HP. It's just an evergreen strategy. And then when you throw in with that you're actually stealing their stats as well, becomes incredibly strong. I don't think there's much else that needs to be said. Damon scales infinitely with the game due to this ability, and he's always going to be an amazing carry. Plus, he gets the shield, so he's going to be tanky, increasing his defense and attack. Attack doesn't really matter. The defense is what we're looking at, making him more tanky, giving him shields. It's just this Blood Shield has so much in it when you look at how it actually interacts with his signature item and ultimate. It just makes him amazing. So Blood Shield, you get number 9. Coming in at number 8, Aioli. So when you read this ability, injects himself, restoring 16% of the health he's already lost per second over 8 seconds. It goes up to 20. 20% per second of your lost HP. You know, if you're at 50% HP, that still puts 10% of your max HP per second. Obviously, it scales down as you get higher in HP. But that ability in itself is amazing. And we do have the tie-in to it, which is his signature item, which specifically at 30 is huge, being that he cannot be controlled while he's using it. Then we have the fact that this also means whenever he uses his ultimate, irrelevant of what his ultimate is, we don't care what his ultimate does. When he uses his ultimate, he's applying this, so he's not just applying it passively as well. And then also on top of that, the damage that he receives is reduced by 50% for 15 seconds when enemies are slain while he's using this toxic transfusion, which he's going to be using it a lot. If you really want to get into it, you can look at his furniture, and then eventually he's going to have it permanently. But we're not even going there. We're just going with the hypodermic healing ability in itself, along with this signature item, buffing it, giving him some CC immunity, giving him like a damage reduction. It's an absolutely amazing ability. So hypodermic healing, it gets rank 8. Moving into number 7, and it is going to be Khazad. I think this one might come as a surprise to some people, but I just think this ability here, when we look at just the signature item, and that's it, When your normal attacks deal critical damage, they have a freezing effect that lasts for 3 seconds. So you get that. On top of that, this is the big one. The level 30 increases the duration of most negative debuff effects, which are currently affecting all enemies on the battlefield by 60%. When you look at this, in every game, CC is always going to be a strong ability. So when you have the ability to buff the duration of CC and potentially just lock out an enemy team, and I think this is creeping into the meta and why Khazard's coming back, but this ability in itself is huge, this signature item, extending duration by 60%. You take 2 really strong CC units, you're going to be CCing for days. I really do like this ability, and I do think Khazard in general in the game will start creeping up because of this, and the more units that do come into a game are just going to make this type of ability even better. So Khazard, with his signature item, does get position, what are we up to, 7? 7. Number 6, I am going to give to Joker for this ability just because it's the longest description in the game. I don't know, is it? I think it is. I honestly think this is the longest description in the game for an ability. I don't know, but it's got a lot to it, and that's probably why it's a really good ability. Now, even though Joker isn't the top of the top tier, this ability, in my opinion, is an S tier ability, basically making you able to choose your faction depending on the enemies, and gives you, and often, you know, you're going to have 3 or 4 enemies of the same faction, giving you that advantage, which is really nice. Not just giving you factional advantage, but also giving you a knockdown anytime you attack the enemies that you have factional advantage over. On top of that, it's going to give them weakened, which increases the damage they take, which is another amazing effect on top of that. And then on top of that, even anyone that may have, like, maybe they had the 1 or 2 units left, had a factional advantage over Joker, they're going to have that damage bonus reduced by 15% as well. So just a really nice ability, manipulating factions, making you strong against every enemy team. Really strong ability in my opinion, so it gets number 6. Up at number 5, we have Winter's Call by Ulna. Now the key thing here that makes it really strong is going to be when we combine it with the 9 furniture, which is going to protect an ally. So it's just it's so much mitigation, especially in the late game, end game, when damage is so high. Having 2 tanks that are immune to damage for 9 seconds is absolutely huge at the start of the battle. Crazy ability. I love the synergies between it. Now this one does obviously take into account the furniture, buffing it to give the ally invincibility, but invincibility in this game, especially in the late game when damage is so high, is absolutely huge, and it's actually just an incredible ability. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I wish Ulna had used the wolves in one of her abilities because they look really cool in her art, but we don't see them. Anyway, that was just a side note from me. She gets number 5. Okay, so number 4. Now, I was tossing Ulna and this guy up because they're very similar in what they do with these abilities. I decided to go with this one because it's more impactful if you get to the stage. However, Ulna's ability is more impactful just for the start of the battle. You know, it was a tough toss-up between the two because they're very similar in what they can do. But this one is going to be Prayer of Protection from Eloard, the new hero. This ability is really cool when tied in with the exclusive furniture, where after he uses his ult, once again, we don't care what his ult is, he's going to use this ability and give his whole team invincibility. And even if he can get interrupted while doing this, but the thing about this is he is going to remove most debuffs affecting allies when he uses this. And then also on top of that, if he does get interrupted, you still get 3 seconds of duration. If he channels the full thing, you get 3 more seconds. So this is a full team invincibility, which is just really strong. Well, like I said, once you tie that in with the furniture, full team invincibility, really nice. I feel like in some situations Ulna's going to be better, in some situations this ability would be better. Very close on where I put them, but Prayer of Protection, pretty sick, is pretty sick, gets number 4. Moving on to number 3, it's just straight up going to be the Twins Ultimate. It's a fantastic ability just in itself. You just read this ability, it's busted. Once you understand how much 75 haste is and you know how much it gives, it just makes it ridiculous. And the haste, for me, this ability would be fine if all it did was a haste buff for 8 seconds, but it is 10 seconds. And on top of that, using this ability removes all negative effects on allies and gives them immunity for 4 seconds. seconds. Now, I don't care what other heroes come to the game. Like an immunity in the game with a fast attack increase is always going to be a strong thing to bring. It basically says, unless you can kill my guys, they are going to wail on you and you will be dead. Don't even try and control them for 4 seconds. We're going to delete you. And obviously, the twins in general, they do have other effects like their linking and stuff like that, which is amazing. But just this ability on its own makes any hero a fantastic hero. So to hope, you get number 3. Number 2 on the list goes to Eins and that is gonna be the goal of all life is death. Yes, Eins is very well known for his ultimate. I feel like this ability is a better ability. His ultimate is based on his attack, all that kind of stuff. I feel like this can be power crept. This is amazing. When we talked about Damon doing percentage of enemy max HP as damage, that was good. This is ridiculous. So this ability, and tie it in with the furniture, whether you, the furniture, whether you want to have 9 furniture or not, making it activate after 15 seconds. Yes, it makes it better, but still, this ability in itself is ridiculous. It scales infinitely. The fact that he has a huge AoE, yes, makes him good, but this ability is what really makes Eins, in my opinion. After 24 seconds, like I said, we can make it 15 seconds. All enemies lose 50% of their health and are stunned for 4 seconds. Like, it doesn't matter how tanky they are, they lose 50%. Now, it is current health, but you can be guaranteed no matter what their current health is, if it's at 80%, they'll be down to 40%. So no matter what, after this happens, all enemies are going to be at 50% health or below, and you can manual play, hold on to this, wait. If Eins didn't have an ult himself that did massive AoE, you could use someone else that has it. I just feel like this ability, no matter who you put it on, is amazing. We look at something like Tassie, who has the 5 or is it 6 second sleep. That's amazing. Yes, this is only procced once per battle, but the fact that they're losing 50% of their health on top of a stun for 4 seconds, which is a decent AoE stun, is absolutely crazy. And like I said, you can do 15 seconds into the battle, followed up some AoEs. And this ability to me is what really makes Eins busted in the late game. In the early game, I definitely think this is huge. But you know, once you get to greater level deficits and this doesn't deal as much damage, the goal of all life is what is really so powerful in Eins, in my opinion. So it gets number 2. Now, I want you guys to pause. Who do you think is number 1? What beats this on Eins? And this is a very, very personal opinion, so you guys can definitely disagree with me on this one. But for me, number 1 ability in the game goes to Alberto's signature item. I think this ability has infinite scalability, and this is why when Eins and Alberto were in the game, I said that if I could only get one, I probably would have gone for Alberto, because I feel like she has staying power. Eins' ability, that's always going to be really strong. But if they make another dimensional who is going to be stronger than Eins, this ability is evergreen, in my opinion, in itself. When you can just go, okay, and if you use 3 heroes from that faction, they get a 75% defense increase and also a 45% attack increase. That's huge. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, any hero with that where you go, hey, by the way, every hero of my faction, if you play at least 3 of us, we get 75% extra defense and 45% extra attack. That's pretty big. Like I just feel like this has, like I said, doesn't matter what the rest of her kit is, which the rest of the kit isn't fantastic in my opinion. If you put like this signature item on Eins, you know, like obviously his signature item's good anyway, so you get the point. Like, this ability in itself is huge. I feel like this has, like, this is the most evergreen ability in the game, in my opinion. Kind of like what Kazza does, how he's just always going to buff the CC durations of allies. It just means the more units that come into the game, the better it's going to get. And this is exactly the same. If they introduce, and keeping in mind, you know, Dimensionals, they are collab units who, you know, they want to have pretty decent so that people are enticed to get them. It's very kind of like Celestials and Hypergeans, you know, they're kind of like in that power crept sort of cycle, which, you know, an extra 75% defense and 45% attack is always going to be nice. And it's unconditional. You just got to have them in the team and they get it. You don't have to, you know, use Herald to proc it. It's just like a passive thing that is absolutely huge. And for me, this is my personal opinion on the best ability in the game. Once again, take it all with a grain of salt. This was just me wanting to have a bit of fun in a video. Let me know what you can do top 10s if you want, but top number 1 ability in the game is. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I'll look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.